drag that goes along the Rio Grande River. Okay, very specific street to know. And that's a street sign you can find at night. For years, street signs would go up and people would make them disappear, but for now, that one's up, a few others are up, and it helps navigation. Having a compass out here would help. I don't have one, but it's just really important to know that due mountain is to the south. Blanca is the other way. The north. More so northwest. So it's good to know the north, south, east, west in relation to these mountains and mesas. The road here is pretty well done. There are other roads that are not as, for example, this one's okay, but if you're traveling here after a heavy rain, or if you're traveling here, you take a look at this. So certain vehicles, four-wheel vehicles, will do well in this environment, but certain little cars as well, just make sure you have extra tires, because this type of road can really wreak havoc on certain tires and alignment systems. So be careful how you drive, because there is a little bit of wear and tear that happens to vehicles when they're living their whole lifetime on roads like this. But I think my motorhome is in a much better position to be driving on roads like this than most other vehicles, most every vehicle I've ever owned in my life. So that's the good news. Gas isn't cheap, but at least it's, you know, not above 3 at the moment, and I'm able to get from point A to point B. For that, I'm grateful, but I don't count on being able to just drive an RV around forever, and I'm putting more of my expenses for this trip into gas than, say, motel rooms, RV parks. It's all going to gas. I actually have to drive back into town today to do some stuff on the internet. Then I'm going to come back out here. So I'm going to be going back and forth into town, taking care of some things that I need to do online, posting news to the website that I've talked about in the past, taking care of my obligations, but also leaving myself some time for play. See, that's an example of some. That's an example of some dips in the road that we just passed, that I drove around. Looks like someone brought in their own refurbished home or barn over here. I've seen those for sale for about $4,000. I'm seeing more of those out here, or pod structures to house things. So I'm pretty much showing, without trying to, you know, do surveillance on people's homes, but different people have their own idea on what it means to be off the grid, and different people have different talents, abilities, knowledge, skill sets. So it's very abstract. Whoa. And beautiful. I'll have to work on the position and where things are in the RV. Now this spot over here is close to some land that I was able to locate on the map. So I noticed the property that I'm not filming that I just passed on Google Earth. So I'm using that as a way to help me navigate. And again, these are the main side roads. Some of them are main streets, so they pave them more, and some of them not so much because there aren't very many houses around them. So when you're on these roads, try to pick the roads that look like people have already driven on them. Now this is summertime, and you know there are no major rain puddles, so this is probably the better time. But winter is when it gets more challenging. Okay, we're crossing Delaware now. See another structure down there. And this is also the Rio Grande River, but it gets more gorge-like up here as you get more south. You don't have to go to New Mexico to see a beautiful Rio Grande River gorge, but they do have an amazing one about an hour south. And a lot of people are drawn to the mountain range down there, the Taos Mountains. I prefer it up here. Look at how green it is. Not too far away from where I shot that video, how one man in the desert gets his water. Been a while since I seen that guy, but going by his place now. Not going to be filming that. Looks like he's busy, by the way, though, working on his garden, growing those large, massive pot plants, watered by the Rio Grande River. Looks like he's expanded his home in the meantime, and that's cool to see. Pretty good structure. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to continue straight. We are going to get a closer look at the Rio Grande River from this southern vantage point. Now the fencing here, that could be that this is government land, and they I heard they bought up some land on the Costilla County side, which is on the side that we're on now. Or it could be another landowner that owned a large plot and wanted to make sure he had a fence to keep the wild horses out. Not really sure. We're definitely getting closer. I see a shipping container out there in the distance. I'm gonna go ahead and skip the Rio Grande River for now and continue on to where I'm headed. If I do have to go that route, I would have to go, if I can't get internet anywhere closer, which I won't count on. Fort Garland is about a 30-minute drive from here. So obviously I won't be doing this every day, but if I was to stay out here long term, I would have satellite internet brought out. Even if it was short term, just for a month or two, that would save me quite a bit of driving. But today is the day to share with you how green the San Luis Valley has become, and show you various spots. We're headed, by the way, in the direction of 159. So if you're going from the river and you want to get back to San Luis or get back to 159, that can take you to New Mexico or take you up to San Luis. What you want to do is head east towards the Sangredo Crystal Mountains, away from the Rio Grande River that we just came. This is a road that's fine for now, but in the winter, some roads like this may not be the best roads to actually travel on. For example, there you go. Right there. Just hit a patch. And I have been in a several ton truck, delivery truck, and was stranded with a friend. We drove down a road. You got to get your speed up though. It was probably February. Boy, oh boy, we were spending 4 hours trying to shovel ourselves out. So having a shovel that can dig yourself out of a ditch is really important out here. Not to mention having extra drinking water. I understand people like to carry plastic bottles. I would recommend at minimum getting 5 to 7 gallon containers, preferably BPA free. You can order them online now for about $15. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get off this road. I'd like to see a better road. I'm gonna take a right. We're gonna go up a little closer to Ute Mountain and drive east parallel to Ute Mountain. A lot of driving the Rio Grande Ranches is changing your driving itinerary. If a road's screwed up, get off of it and get on something else. We're just a few miles from New Mexico. The New Mexico borderline is right over here. This is the Colorado-New Mexico borderline. One of these parallel roads going east to west. Just past Osage Trail. Osage Trail. There's another camper over there. I've seen other campers. There's a lot of people that come out and live, and they may not stay full-time, so a lot of people don't necessarily have negative run-ins with permit people. There's also a lot of cabins out here that have been abandoned. I mean, someone could go in and try to steal what's in there, but there's only so much of value, really. So, I mean, there are cabins out here that have just been sitting for years. Sometimes they remove it, sometimes they don't. It depends on the status of the land. Every November there's a tax lien sale in Costilla County, by the way, around the 17th, between the 13th and 17th. If you know what you're doing, in some cases, you can end up with a good piece of land. You can also mistakenly buy land that was obviously sold for a reason. This looks like another way of getting down to the Rio Grande River, because as you can see, it turns now. The Rio Grande River was going this way, and now it kind of turns this way. And this would be Cuevas Trail in Kiowa. And the rocks start looking a little different just a few miles up the road. Now this is a better road, obviously. You can tell the rock in the road has actually helped it, though. There's a lot more rock in this road that's helped it maintain its structure, as you can see. It's also been advised to me to come up here and build a home out of stone. Not a whole lot of people have done that, just one in particular, somebody that has a very well-insulated home, a good structure, made primarily from stone, harvested from this region, and taken back to his place in his little pickup truck, and molded together with something. So, if I was to stay out here long-term, I would absolutely consider a stone home. I'm interested in a little bit of everything, learning how to build a home out of stone, earth bag, straw bale, an underground home, and just various types. There's underground gardens. Some people really like tree houses. Well, there's really no trees around here, but that's not to say somebody couldn't have any fun. On the topic of trees, it wouldn't be a bad idea to start planting trees. Maybe guerrilla garden style, maybe give back to nature and start planting some trees out there. If the climate's going to start changing in such a big way that we're going to start seeing a lot more rain here in Colorado continuously, there's going to be potential for tree growth, in addition to being able to have a more sizable vegetable garden than normal, unless of course you're hauling lots and lots of water, which is still what you need to do. But as time goes on, the water levels, you know, how far down you have to drill to actually hit water. At some point in the future, maybe those areas where you may have had to drill 75 feet down or 100 down or whatever, it'd be nice to see that decreased. Of course, with irrigation and with depletion of aquifers, San Luis Valley is sitting on a massive aquifer, by the way. With that going on, it's hard for water resources to recover. But, you know, I'm optimistic about that. Now, as I drive forward, I can see, like, what looks like a little jungle on the road. Accelerating now. So knowing when to accelerate and when to take your foot off the gas and when to turn the wheel, all very important. I see so much promise in this land, and building networks with people that know each other across this land that maybe are separated by 20 miles. They may not be living on the same property, but they may be trading. They may be working together. One person may be volunteering land at someone else's property. That person may pay that person back and help that person build their home, saving them thousands of dollars. And if they're building up their knowledge on how to do this right, then they don't need to spend the same amount of money that other people do for a warm home in the winter. You can build something that's insulated. And thank God for wood stoves. And thank God for wood deliveries. You can get wood delivered out here. And the amount you're getting is much better than whatever you're paying at the store in the $5 bundles. But yeah, wood deliveries are totally available out here, and a lot of people live off that wood. If they didn't have that wood delivery, a lot of people would have to go get the wood themselves or evacuate for the winter. And the wood comes from a lumber yard, so again, it's just a part of their business to some of the slabs they have. Cut them up, bundle them up, big ones, and people with chainsaws or friends with chainsaws can cut them up. There's a guy that's been living out here off the grid for years. He doesn't even own his own chainsaw, and he would just pay a neighbor to do it. And that way, you know, he's contributing to a micro local economy. He's giving his friend 20 bucks. His friend needs 20 bucks. He can afford 20 bucks because he has a part-time job in town. Keeping it local. So a lot of people are skeptical that quinoa can grow out here, and I'm pretty optimistic that if you can get the seeds planted right before the first rains, you can get it to sprout. And the rains that follow in June, July, whatever happens in August, maybe September, all that's only going to help. There's many ways to harvest rainwater. Even though they say it's illegal, I would do it anyways. We're not yet living in a reality where drones are running out and sending violations back to central headquarters, but anything is possible in terms of our future. So people should remain resilient and continue to defend their God-given rights. We shouldn't have to pay for the air. We shouldn't have to pay for the dirt, really, but that is a way of contributing and giving back. But I don't see anything wrong with people that are drawn out here that don't necessarily own land to be drawn out here to have the experience, because that's the way this has happened for thousands of years. Native Americans would come here. They would have a vision quest. Chris O'Brien wrote a little bit about this in his book, Into the Valley. Well, there's so much more information that's out there because his information came from the oral teachings of Native Americans. And I was drawn out here, you know, you could even say accidentally, and I was. And for me to find out about the UFO lore, and I saw so many, I don't know if you call them shooting stars, but just little in the sky last night, not all at once, but the sky is alive just like the water's alive, just like the air is alive, just like the dirt's alive. And if the dirt wasn't alive, it wouldn't be growing with so much abundance like this. Oh shit. It's like a fucking scene out of fucking Superman or something. But I ain't no Lois Lane. And there ain't no earthquake happening now. But I'll tell you what, I've had dreams about sinkholes in the future and the earth opening up. Here in the San Luis Valley. Oh shit. And I'll tell you what, I want to be on solid ground. All right, let's do this. Oh shit. I'm gonna have to this is why you slow down.